Hare Krishna, welcome all of you for today's Srimad Bhagavatam session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 7, entitled The Son of Drona Punished. Text 15. Mata Shishunam Mata Shishunam Nidhanam Sutanam Nishamya Ghoram Paritapyamana Tadarudadvashpakalalulakshi Tam Santvayan Ahakriti Kiritamali. Translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Suta Goswami continued. Draupadi, the mother of the five children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus. So, yesterday we saw how the son of Dronacharya, Ashwathama, after the battle of Kurukshetra, he took his sword, went to the Pandava camp, and he killed the five sons of Draupadi, who were all asleep. So, this was a heinous act on the part of Ashwathama, which was not accepted even by Duryodhana. So, what happened after Ashwathama killed the five sons of Draupadi? That is explained here in this shloka. Mata Shishunam Nidhanam Sutanam. Mata, the mother, that is Draupadi. Shishunam Nidhanam. Nidhanam means massacre or the killing. Shishunam of the children. Sutanam of her sons. Nishamya Ghoram. Nishamya means after hearing this. Ghoram, the ghastly activity. Paritapyamana, she was lamenting greatly. Paritapya means to lament. Tada, at that time, Arudat, she began to cry. Vashpakala akula akshi, tears in her eyes. Akshi means eyes. Akula means her eyes filled with tears. Vashpa or Bashpa, it is also called tears. So her eyes, Vashpa Kalalulakshi, Kalakulakshi, that means her eyes were greatly shedding tears of lamentation. It is very natural for any mother when she gets to know that her children are in trouble, she will actually cry. Now, what to speak of death of children? She will be definitely greatly in agony, in pain and lamentation. Tam, her, Santvayan. Santvana means to pacify. Santvayan, Aha, spoke, said, Kirita Mali, Arjuna. Arjuna's one name is Kiriti. Among the 10 names of Arjuna, Kiriti is one of his names. So, because he brought so many crowns of various kings after defeating them on the battlefield, he brought them as gifts to Maharaj Yudhishthira. Therefore, he is called Kiriti, Kiritamali. So, when Draupadi, the mother of the five children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, she began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus. So, Arjuna, being the husband of Draupadi, it is his duty to speak words of pacification in such a pitiable condition where she has lost all her sons. So, it is said that when somebody is in distress, a civilized person, he may not be able to immediately solve the problem, but at least he must speak a few words of consolation. He must try to console the person who is going through distress. Sometimes we wrongly apply philosophy in our daily life. We say that anybody goes through miseries in their lives because of their past karma. So when they are lamenting, when they are in distress because of their past karma, why should a devotee go and console such a person? A devotee should simply leave that person to suffer the results of his own karma. Now, this is a wrong application of the philosophy. Understanding philosophy is not sufficient. One should also learn how to apply the philosophy in one's day to day life. Yes, it is a fact that we suffer because of our own past sinful activities. There is no doubt about it. But when a devotee sees others in misery, it is not that a devotee should apply this philosophy at that time and say, oh, this person is suffering because of his past karma, let him suffer. Good for him. This law of karma is not meant for devotees to become stone hearted. It is not like that. We should not become stone hearted. Having compassion towards other living entities is one of the primary symptoms of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is paradukha dukhi. A Vaishnava, when he sees others in dukkha, he feels for them. Of course, he also understands that all miseries are because of one's own karma. But at that point of time, a Vaishnava speaks words of consolation because he does not like to see others in distress. This is the this is the quality of a devotee. And here Arjuna is not only addressing Draupadi, who is also a devotee of the Lord, but Arjuna is also the husband of Draupadi. Therefore, it is the duty of Arjuna to speak in a way to pacify her in such a difficult, in such an emotionally traumatic situation. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, how should be our speech? What should be the quality of our speech? So Krishna says that our speech should not hurt others. Our speech should be for the benefit of the others. We should always speak the truth. So this is how we should speak. And the best use of our power of speech is to chant the holy names of the Lord and to recite the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. That is the best use of one's speech. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. This is called vanmaya tapas, austerity of speech. Anudvega karam vakyam, our speech should not create disturbance for the listener. It should not create anxiety for the listener. That is the first quality of a good speech. Then satyam, our speech should be truthful. Then priya hitam, it should be for the benefit of the others, for the listeners. Then swadhyaya abhyasanam, we should use our speech for studying or reciting the Vedic scriptures. This is called Vanmaya Tapas, the austerity of speech. So when Draupadi was, uh, deeply distressed because of the death of her sons, and Kalakulakshi, her eyes were filled with tears at that time. Arjuna, to pacify her, trying to pacify her, he speaks as follows. Let us see what he speaks. Text 16. तदा शुचस्ते प्रमृजानि भद्रे तदा शुचस्ते प्रमृजामि भद्रे यद्ब्रह्मबन्धो शिर आततायिनः गाण्डीव मुक्तैर्विशिखैरुपाहरे त्वाक्रम्य यत्स्नास्यसि दग्धपुत्रा. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Arjuna said, O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmana, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. Purport. An enemy who sets fire to the house, administers poison, attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons, plunders wealth, or usurps agricultural fields, or entices one's wife is called an aggressor. Such an aggressor, though he be a Brahmana or a so called son of a Brahmana, has to be punished in all circumstances. When Arjuna promised to behead the aggressor named Ashwathama, he knew well that Ashwathama was the son of a Brahmana, but because the so called Brahmana acted like a butcher, he was taken as such. And there was no question of sin in killing such a Brahmana's son, who proved to be a villain. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So, Arjuna's words of pacification to the lamenting Draupadi are befitting a Kshatriya. So, Arjuna is speaking like a Kshatriya. So, he's saying, Tada Shuchaste Pramrujami Bhadre. O Bhadre, Bhadre means, O gentle lady, O Draupadi. Tada, at that time only, Shuchaha, your tears in grief, Pramrujami, I shall wipe away. I shall wipe away your tears of grief at that time only. Which time? So he says, Yad Brahma Bandho Shira Atatayinaha Gandiva Muktair Vishikhair Upahare. So, Yat, at that time, when Brahma Bandhoho, of a degraded Brahmana. Now, this is a very interesting phrase that is used in Bhagavatam every now and then. Brahma Bandhu. Brahma Bandhu means a person who is born in the family of a Brahmana but lacks the qualities of a true Brahmana. That is the meaning of Brahma Bandhu. It is very important to note that in Vedic society, not merely by taking birth in a particular family, one was considered qualified. One had to develop the right qualifications. Only then one was accepted as a Brahmana or a real Kshatriya. Otherwise, one would be called as a Brahma Bandhu or a Kshatra Bandhu. He is born in the family of a Brahmana. He had all the opportunities to develop good qualities and become a qualified Brahmana, but he did not make use of the circumstantial opportunities. Therefore, he is known as a Brahma Bandhu. So here Ashwathama is referred to as Brahma Bandhu. Why? Because he was born in a Brahmana family. He was a son of Dronacharya, who was a great Brahmana, but he failed to become truly a Brahmana. Now, who is the real Brahmana? That is explained in the scriptures. Brahma Janati iti Brahmana. One who is well versed with the understanding of the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Absolute Truth. He is known as a Brahmana. Prabhupada says, simply by wearing a 50 paisa thread, one cannot become a Brahmana. Unfortunately, in Kali Yuga, Uh, Vipratvam Sutramevahi. It is explained in the 12th canto of Bhagavatam. Vipra or a Brahmana, when does a person become a real Brahmana? As I told, only when one understands, one realizes the supreme Brahman, he is called a Brahmana. But in Kali Yuga, it is predicted in the 12th canto of Bhagavatam, Vipratvam Sutramevahi. Simply by wearing a thread, sutra means thread, simply by wearing a thread across one's body, one thinks that I have become a Vipra, one thinks that I have become a Brahmana. That is the symptom of degradation in Kali Yuga. But that is not the real understanding. It is said, Janmana jayate shudra samskarat bhaved dvijaha. The Vedas say, by birth, one is a Shudra. Shudra means unqualified person. But samskarat bhaved dvijaha, only by samskara, by suitable cultivation of knowledge and by suitable training into Brahmanical culture, one really becomes a Brahmana. So this has to be understood very carefully. That is why Ashwathama is not referred to as Brahmana in this verse by Arjuna, but he is referred to as Brahma Bandhu, a person who is born in the family of a Brahmana, but he has failed to become a real Brahmana. Therefore, he is a degraded Brahmana. Yad Brahma Bandho Shira Atatayinaha. Shira means head, Atatayinaha means of the aggressor. This word Atatayinaha comes in the Bhagavad Gita also in the very first chapter. Arjuna says that even though the Kauravas are aggressors, Atatayinaha, they are overcome by greed and they don't mind killing their own relatives. O Krishna, but why should we do it, knowing very well what is the reality, knowing very well that goal of human life is not simply to engage in violence. Why should we actually kill these Atatayinaha? This is one of the arguments Arjuna places in front of Krishna. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, according to the Shastras, there are six kinds of Atatayinaha, six kinds of aggressors who have to be at once punished. And it is the duty of a king, a Kshatriya, to award capital punishment, death punishment, to these six kinds of aggressors or Atatayinaha. Who are those? The first one who sets fire on one's house. You know, when somebody is sleeping in the house in the dead of night, when a person comes and sets fire on such a house, thus killing the innocent people sitting or sleeping in the house. Such people are Atatayinaha, aggressors, or terrorists, we can call in the modern day language, okay, terrorists. They set fire on the house. Second is one who gives poison, one who mixes poison in food and acts as though he is your well-wisher, feeds you nice sumptuous food, but he's actually poisoning you. So such a person is also Atatayinaha. Then third one is one who attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons, without prior notice, without uh, intimation, all of a sudden when one attacks with deadly weapons, without giving an opportunity for the opponent to defend himself. Such a person is Atatayinaha. He's an aggressor. Fourth one is one who plunders wealth or usurps agricultural fields, one who takes away, plunderer of wealth. He is also Atatayinaha. And lastly, one who entices one's wife. He is also Atatayinaha, one who actually attacks or tries to uh, dishonor, tries to, uh, you know, create a situation, awkward situation for one's wife by either kidnapping her or by putting her in such a dishonorable situation. Such a person is also called an aggressor. So these are the six kinds of aggressors. And according to the Shastra, these six kinds of aggressors have to be punished. And especially if one is a king, Kshatriya, the Kshatriya has rights to kill such a aggressor. So the Kauravas practically had done all these six things against the Pandavas. So therefore, Krishna said, "Your so-called non-violence towards these aggressors is not becoming of you. You are a Kshatriya, and you have to act as a Kshatriya. You have to punish these Kauravas because they have committed all these six kinds of aggressions against you." So here, this Brahma Bandhu, he also is called an Atatayi because without prior notice, it was not that Ashwathama killed these five sons of Draupadi on the battlefield. No, when they were actually sleeping, you know, in the dead of night, when they had no clue that such a thing could happen, when they had no opportunity to defend themselves, these this person, the degraded Brahmana Ashwathama, he actually cuts off the heads of these five sleeping sons of Draupadi. Therefore, Ashwathama is aggressor. He is a terrorist. He is Atatayinaha. So even though he is born in a Brahmana family, he can be killed. So that is the understanding. Generally, a Brahmana is not killed, but he has performed such a sinful, heinous act. Therefore, he has acted like a butcher, Prabhupada says in the purport. Therefore, for him, the only punishment is death, capital punishment. He has to be killed. And a king is authorized to give capital punishment according to the Varnashrama system. It is the king who is authorized to do so. So, Arjuna, being a king, Kshatriya, he is consoling his lamenting wife Draupadi, saying that only at that time I will come and wipe your tears, O Bhadre, O gentle lady, when I actually sever the head of this Atatayi, the aggressor, Ashwathama, with what? Gandiva Muktair Vishakhair Upahare, with from the arrows which come from my Gandiva bow, Gandiva Muktaihi, shot by the bow known named as Gandiva, Vishakhaihi, by the arrows, Upahare, Upahara, yesterday also we have seen this word, Upahare, I shall present to you as a gift. What shall I present to you as a gift? Tva akramya yat snasyasi, akramya, riding on it, snasyasi, take your bath, Dagdha Putraha, after burning the sons. I shall present the head of this Ashwathama to you as a gift, and you can stand on his head and take your bath for purification after we burn the dead bodies of our sons. These are the words spoken by Arjuna. So we can see within the words of Arjuna, he is also actually affected very much. Naturally, they were his sons also, and he is trying to console Draupadi. Now, an important thing to note here is generally we understand that one of the immediate causes for the great war of Mahabharata was Draupadi Shapatha. Draupadi had taken a vow that she shall not uh, bind her uh, bind her hair. She shall not bind her hair until she sees the death of Dushasana, and until Bhima gets the blood from the chest of Dushasana, and until she is able to wash off her hair from that blood, with that blood. Yes, this was the immediate cause, or this was one of the uh, greatest vows that anybody had taken, especially a woman had taken. So Draupadi was, in this mood actually. She wanted to take revenge against all these Pandavas, sorry, all these Kauravas, especially against Duryodhana and Dushasana, because she could not forget that humiliation which she had to face in front of the entire assembly in the hands of Dushasana when when he dragged her mercilessly, holding her hair. She was dragged into the assembly, and she was even tried to be disrobed. So this was an unforgettable humiliation for Draupadi, and that's why she had told She was again and again reminding Bhima. If you read the Mahabharata, it comes in many, many occasions. In the Vanaparva also it comes, where again and again uh, Bhima, Bhima is humiliated by Draupadi. She tries to say, "What kind of a Kshatriya you are? You silently tolerated the insult of your wife in front of such a big assembly. You have no Paurusha. You are not a man." Like this, she was actually speaking in order to instigate Kshatriya feelings in the heart of Bhima, especially. And it was because of these words of Draupadi that Bhima was actually uh, holding that vengeance against the Kauravas for 13 years. And it was because of this vengeance that Bhima was the person who actually killed all the 100 Kauravas on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He was the one who killed all these 100 Kauravas. So, now if you see in the Bhagavatam in this particular episode, the attitude of Draupadi is something totally different. She does not maintain any vengeance here. That's a very notable thing. Why is it so? We will see that in the coming verses. So, Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Ashwathama was an aggressor, and Arjuna very well knew that he was the son of a Brāhmaṇa, but because he acted like a butcher, so there was no question of sin in killing a Brahmana's son who proved to be a villain. Right? Generally, killing of a Brahmana is forbidden, especially in the Manu Smriti, the law of mankind given by Manu, the father of mankind. So there it is said that if a Brahmana is killed, it is as though an entire society is killed. Because a Brahmana is a custodian of Vedic knowledge. As long as a Brahmana lives, through him, thousands of people get Vedic knowledge. They get understanding about the purpose of life. So if one kills a Brahmana, then it's as though an university has been destroyed. So therefore, killing of a Brahmana was highly forbidden. But in this kind of a situation where Brahmana, who is supposed to act with proper understanding, he himself has indulged in such a heinous act. So there is no sin in killing such a degraded Brahmana. That is what Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport. So let us see what further Arjuna says to pacify Draupadi. Let's see the next shloka, text 17. Iti priyam valgu vichitra jalpaihi sasantvayitva achyutamitra sutaha anvadravadamshita ugradhanva kapidhvajo guruputram rathena. Translation by His Divine Grace Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna, who is guided by the infallible Lord as friend and driver, thus satisfied the dear lady by such statements. Then he dressed in armor and armed himself with furious weapons, and getting into his chariot, he set out to follow Ashwathama, the son of his martial teacher. Iti priyam valgu vichitra jalpaihi. Jalpaihi means words, statements, by the statements. Iti, thus, priyam means unto his dear wife, Draupadi, priyam. Valgu vichitra. So we should note when we are reading the Bhagavatam, we should also a little bit be conscious of some grammar, some grammatical points there and here. I keep telling. If it is priyam, it is masculine gender. If it is priyam, dirgha, it is feminine gender. So in Sanskrit, the nouns, adjectives also have genders. Okay, that has to be noted. So here it is said, iti priyam. Priyam means it is feminine gender because of the dirgha swara. Iti priyam, unto his dear wife Draupadi, valgu vichitra jalpaihi. So what did Arjuna do? Valgu, sweet, vichitra, variegated, jalpaihi, by statements. Arjuna spoke variegated statements which were all sweet to hear for Draupadi. Why did he say this? Saha santvaitva, for satisfying, for giving santvana. Santvana means to pacify, to satisfy. Achyuta mitra sutaha. Achyuta mitra sutaha. Sorry, not sutaha. Suta. Suta means chariot driver. Achyuta mitra. Achyuta is the Supreme Lord Krishna, the infallible Lord. Mitra is friend. So Arjuna is Achyuta Mitra. He is the friend of Krishna, the infallible Lord. And he is guided, and his chariot is driven by Krishna. That's why Krishna is called Partha Sarathi. He is the chariot driver for Partha, the son of Pritha Arjuna. So here Achyuta Mitra Sutaha, Arjuna, who is guided by the infallible Lord as a friend and driver. Anvadravat Damshitaha. Anvadravat, he followed. Damshitaha, being protected by his kavacha, his armor. So he wore his armor. Whenever a Kshatriya goes to fight, goes to the battlefield, he arms himself, he wears a protective armor again on his chest. And Ugra Dhanvaha, and he was also equipped with Ugra weapons, furious weapons. Arjuna was a knower of many, many weapons. Before the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna himself had told Arjuna to perform tapasya, pacify Indra, then pacify Lord Shiva, and get great weapons from them, like Pashupatastra and others. So Arjuna was very well conversant with many kinds of weapons. So he was equipped with all kinds of weapons. Now somebody may ask, why to fight against a Brāhmaṇa, Arjuna had to go with so much preparation? He's after all going to fight against one Brāhmaṇa only. But we should know that being the favorite son of Dronacharya, Ashwathama had received all the weapons from his father Dronacharya. Ashwathama had received all the weapons up to Brahmastra. He had received from his great father Dronacharya. Now the question here is, was it right for Dronacharya to give Brahmastra and other such mighty weapons to Ashwathama, knowing very well that his son is not qualified? Now the answer to this question is, Dronacharya was overtaken by fatherly affection. Therefore, he did not consider whether it is right to equip his son with all these mighty weapons. Right? In the olden days, in the in the Vedic period, if one had to get these mighty weapons, one had to perform tapasya. That means one had to pay a heavy price for getting these weapons of mass destruction. Because unless one has good character, unless one has control over his senses and mind, one will not be able to succeed in tapasya. That means only those who had sense control and mind control were awarded such weapons, mighty weapons as Brahmastra and Pashupatastra and other such weapons. That means in order to handle technology, one must have control over senses and mind. If one is given access to advanced technology without seeing whether the person has control over senses or mind, then it actually creates havoc for himself and for everybody. Now today we see the technology, advanced technology in the form of mobile phones, smartphones, is in the hands of everybody in this world currently. The smartphone has become a day-to-day requirement. It has become a need. It is no more a luxury. It is a need. But this smartphone is an advanced technology, and none of us who are handling these gadgets have done any tapasya to get this technology in our hands. None of us, most of us in the Kali Yuga do not have training on how to control one's senses and mind. As a result of this, we see havoc happening. We see so many kinds of crimes, so many things happening because of the misuse of this technology. That is why in the earlier period, in the Vedic period, uh, always before handing over any technology, whether the person who is receiving this technology is qualified to receive it and put it for the best use for himself and the humanity at large. This was the criterion, this was seen. And that is why tapasya was recommended. If you have to do tapasya for so many years, you must have control over your senses. And only then, that means by passing the tests of tapasya, you are saying that you are qualified to handle those mighty weapons. But unfortunately, Ashwathama was a Brahmana Bandhu. He was simply a Brahmana by birth. He had no sense control. He had no control over his anger. He had no control over his mind. We will see that, how it is demonstrated, all of these qualities of Ashwathama. So it was wrong on the part of Dronacharya to give these weapons to his son just because he is his son. See, this is what happens uh, when one becomes blinded by affection based on bodily connections. This is exactly what happened between Dhritarashtra and his son Duryodhana, isn't it? So the scriptures are teaching us, if you are a custodian of a technology, if you are a custodian of a knowledge, of some knowledge, you must be very careful whom you are going to pass on this knowledge next. Do not become affected by material, emotional considerations. So, so here what happened? Let us see next. So, Anvadrava Damshita Ugradhanva. So he was equipped with his furious weapons and he also armed himself with protective armor. And then what did he do? Kapidhvajo Guru Putram Rathena. Kapidhvajaha, this is the name of Arjuna. Just like Krishna is called Garuda Dhwaja, in his flag there is Garuda Deva. In the same way, in the flag of Arjuna, there is Hanumanji, who is Kapi, the best among the monkeys. He's Kapivara. So therefore, Arjuna is called as Kapidhvajaha. So Kapidhvajaha Guru Putram Rathena. So he got on into his chariot, Rathena, Guru Putram. He went towards his Guru Putra, that is Ashwathama, the son of his martial teacher, Dronacharya. So that means Arjuna is very furious. He has also given a vow to Draupadi that I shall bring the cut head of Ashwathama, then I shall wipe your tears. So he is in a, you can just imagine the mood of Arjuna. He is in, he nobody can stop him. He is very furious. So he is rushing towards Ashwathama. And this is coupled by the fact that he is also personally affected because his own sons are killed by Ashwathama. So let's see what happens next. Text 18. Tamapattantam savilakshya durat kumarahodvignamanaratena paradravat prana paripsururvyam yavad gamam rudra bhayad yathakaha. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Suta Goswami continued the narration. Ashwathama, the murderer of the princess, seeing from a great distance Arjuna coming at him with great speed, fled in his chariot, panic-stricken, just to save his life, as Brahma fled in fear from Shiva. Purport. According to the reading matter, either Kaha or Arkaha, there are two references in the Puranas. Kaha means Brahma, who once became allured by his daughter and began to follow her, which infuriated Shiva, who attacked Brahma with his trident. Brahmaji fled in fear of his life. As far as Arkaha is concerned, there is a reference in the Vamana Purana. There was a demon by the name Vidyunmali who was gifted with a glowing golden airplane, which traveled to the back of the sun and at night disappeared because of the glowing effulgence of this plane. Thus, the sun god became angry, and with his virulent rays, he melted the plane. This enraged Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva then attacked the sun god, who fled away and at last fell down at Kashi, Varanasi, and the place became famous as Lolarka. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So here, tam apatnantam. apatantam. Tam means him, that is Arjuna. Apatantam, coming over furiously. Ashwathama saw from a distance that Arjuna is rushing towards him on his chariot furiously to attack him. Saha, he, that is Ashwathama, Vilakshya, seeing Durat from a distance. Kumara Ha, Ha means the killer. Kumara means the princess, the sons. Kumara Ha, the murderer of the princess. That is Ashwathama. Udvigna Manaha, he became disturbed in his mind. Why he became disturbed? Because he knew that Arjuna is a mighty warrior and he is no match to Arjuna. Therefore, he became disturbed that he will be killed now and he will be severely punished by Arjuna because he has killed Arjuna's sons. So he became very upset, very disturbed out of fear. Rathena Paradravat. Rathena on his chariot. He got onto his chariot, Ashwathama. Paradravat, he fled. He started, he going away from that place. Prana Paripsuhu, for protecting his prana, for protecting his life. Urvyam, with great speed, he started driving his chariot because he wanted to protect himself from the furious Arjuna, who was rushing towards him with great fury. Yavat Gamam, as he fled, Rudra Bhayat Yatha Kaha. Yavat Gamam, as he fled. This is compared to Arjuna's, Ashwathama's fleeing from the place in fear of Arjuna is compared to another Puranic incident that Prabhupada elaborates in the purport. Just like Rudra Bhayat, by the fear of Rudra, by the fear of Shiva, Yatha, just like Kaha. Kaha means Brahma. Brahma flee in fear. He went away in fear. He ran out of fear once, out of fear of Shiva. So here, even though the incident is about Ashwathama running away from Arjuna, the analogy given here is very nice. It is instructive. Ashwathama was running away from Arjuna because he knew Arjuna is a strong party. Arjuna is much more stronger and mightier than himself. And Ashwathama also had the fear. He also had the guilt because he was Kumaraha. He had killed the sons of Arjuna, and Arjuna was right on his part in taking revenge, in attacking Ashwathama. So he was panic stricken. So he was on his chariot with great speed. He ran away to save his life. Now the analogy given is Brahma fled in fear from Shiva once. And Prabhupada elaborates that in the purport. Now the beauty of Bhagavatam is, there are many analogies like this which come every now and then in the Bhagavatam. These analogies are of different types, metaphors sometimes, similes sometimes, and many other figures of speech. Now, these analogies are not only ornaments for, when you see from the literary point of view, they are definitely ornaments. They are very decorative. At the same time, these analogies also have many lessons for the readers. It's not that Vyasadeva, by chance, he has just put some analogy there just to fill the fourth line of the shloka. It is not like that. So, Brahma fled in fear from Shiva. Now, this is something interesting. So, Prabhupada says, Kaha. Kaha means Brahma. If you see, one of the names of Krishna is Keshava. If you split the word Keshava, Kaha plus Isha. Va. Kaha, Isha, Va. Kaha means Brahma. Isha means Lord Shiva. Va means the master. The master of both Brahma and Shiva. That is Keshava. That is Krishna. So that the same word Kaha is used in the shloka also. Here Kaha refers to Brahma. So Brahma once created a daughter, and he was allured by his own daughter. He got instigated with lusty desires, and he started chasing her in order to enjoy with her. And this infuriated Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva attacked Brahma with his trident, with his Trishula weapon. And at that time, Brahma fled for his life. So this is one incident described in some other Purana, right? So what is the lesson for us? Now, when we hear such things, oh, Brahma also fell down. Brahma also was instigated with lusty desires. So we start justifying, oh, if Brahma himself can be affected by lust, what to speak of me? So it is okay if I get allured by lust. Now, this kind of wrong justification, this is the wrong application of philosophy, as I mentioned earlier also. Another example for wrong application of philosophy. What happens is when we find such statements in the scriptures, we try to tweak or we try to misquote such scriptural statements for our personal convenience, and we try to defend our position. This is not the right way of understanding the Shastras. First thing we should understand is this particular incident happened when Lord Brahma was still not uh, having the realization of the supreme absolute truth. We understand from the same Bhagavatam in the second canto, ninth chapter, where Lord Brahma was revealed the absolute truth. He was given the knowledge of the absolute truth by the Supreme Lord Narayana. So, this incident of Brahma getting attracted to his own daughter happened prior to that, before that. That is point number one. Now, the second point is we should not consider ourselves to be so advanced that we can judge the activities of Lord Brahma, or in fact Lord Shiva also. In the same Bhagavatam, in the 8th canto, we see how Lord Shiva becomes lusty towards Mohini Murti. And it is described there that he was so much affected by the lust because of the bodily features of Mohini Murti that he even released his semen upon seeing Mohini Murti. Now, when we see such incidents, we should know that these incidents are only described to give us a warning that if such great personalities as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva can become victims of karma, then what to speak of common people like you and me? Therefore, we need to be very, very careful. That is the only lesson that we have to derive from this incident. We should not try to derive some wrong understanding or interpretations. This is how the acharyas explain. We have to always understand the scriptures based on the explanations given by the acharyas. We should not consider by studying such incidents that Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, they are fallen. No, this is not the right understanding. This should not be the approach. We should understand that this is instructive for us. If such great personalities themselves can become victimized by karma, then what to speak of us, ordinary conditioned souls? Therefore, we should be very careful. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has personally taught us the standards. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Mahavadanya, he is the most merciful of all the incarnations. He freely distributed love of Godhead to one and all by distributing the holy names, the Hare Krishna mantra. Yet, he was very careful while dealing with the opposite gender. He would not allow women devotees to touch his feet or to come too close to him to seek his blessings. He would always talk to them at a distance. Now, this is very important for a sadhaka. One should not think that, oh, I'm so great, I'm practicing Krishna consciousness from so many years. Now I have become fully fixed up. So now I'm fully immune to the attacks of karma. No, one should not think like this. One should be very, very careful. Look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's Krishna himself. but he is teaching us by his personal example. We should be very, very careful while dealing with the opposite gender. It applies to both men and women. So here, another incident uh, is also described in the purport. If there is a, you know, there is a different word instead of kaha, if there is arkaha, this is called patha bedha. Sometimes in the scriptural statements, certain words are seen in one let's say scripture, one manuscript. In another manuscript of the same scripture, there is a different word used. So this is something anybody confirm? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes. Am I audible, Tarun?
Yes, yes, you are audible now, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. So, there's something called Patha Bedha, I was telling. Patha Bedha means uh, the same shloka in different sources. Sometimes there may be a change of words, change of syllables. For example, here in this shloka, in the last line, in this Patha, in this text, we see Yatha Kaha. In some other Patha, in some other texts, Yatha Arkaha also comes. So there it means Ashwathama ran away out of fear of his life, seeing Arjuna, just like once Surya Deva ran away out of fear of Lord Shiva. So one is Brahma ran away from the fear of Lord Shiva, that is one patha. Another patha is Surya Deva once ran away out of fear of Lord Shiva. So what is that incident that is described here? Prabhupada quotes from the Vamana Purana. He says there was a demon called Vidyunmali. He was actually a devotee of Lord Shiva, and he was gifted with a golden airplane, which was effulgent. With the help of this golden airplane, he was able to travel to the back of the sun. Hmm? And because of this effulgence of this sunlight, of this golden airplane, even in the night time, there used to be light, right? So there used to be light even in the night time. So that means it was creating a imbalance in the laws of nature. Therefore, the sun god Surya Deva became angry with him and he was ready to burn. He actually melted away the golden airplane of Vidyunmali with his sharp rays. And this made Lord Shiva angry because he was a devotee of Lord Shiva. At that time, Lord Shiva attacked Surya Deva, and with fear for his life, Surya Deva ran away. And he then came to Kashi, Varanasi, and therefore that place got to be known as Lola Arka. Arka means sun. So this is another incident that is mentioned here. Anyway, in either case, the sum and substance of this shloka is Ashwathama ran away out of fear of his life. See, many times we do a mistake. While doing the mistake, we are very confident. But once we are caught, then we become very guilty. We think, oh, I should have not done this. Oh, what a big blunder I have done. So, this is the nature of people who are under the influence of Rajoguna. Rajasic people, they first act and then they think whether I did right or not. Sattvic people, first they think and then they act. Therefore, they generally do not succumb to guilt or lamentation after the action is performed. So here we can clearly see Ashwathama in a fit of anger, in a mood. He thought that he wanted to please the dying Duryodhana by showing the heads of the sons of Pandavas. Actually, it is mentioned in the Mahabharata that Ashwathama went to get the heads of the Pandavas. But then He thought these five people who are sleeping, they are Pandavas. In the night, Krishna had very tactfully taken away all the Pandavas and Draupadi to the banks of river Ganga. And they said, we will all celebrate the victory on the banks whole night. Let us go there. So Krishna knew this, that such a thing would happen. Krishna knew that Ashwathama would come and kill the sons of Pandavas. Now the question comes, why didn't Krishna stop killing of the sons of Draupadi? This is the question. But you see, the Lord has different plans. Whatever happens, it is as per the Lord's plan. So there is something which the Lord wanted to teach us through the killing of these sons of uh, Draupadi. We will discuss more about it. So here, uh, Ashwathama thought that I'm going to please Duryodhana, but when he got the cut heads of the sons of Draupadi, Duryodhana was least pleased, as we have already read in one of the previous texts. So Ashwathama was running for his life. That is the sum and substance of that verse. Whether you take the analogy of Brahma running out of fear of Shiva or Surya running out of fear of Shiva, both matches here. So in that way, seeing Arjuna Ashwathama ran out of fear. We have three more shlokas to cover today, so I will take another 15-20 minutes. Text 19. Yadarshanam Yada sharanam atmanam aikshata shranta vaijinam asratam brahma shiro mene atmatranam dvijatmajaha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation. When the son of the Brahmana Ashwathama saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using the ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra, nuclear weapon. Purport. In the ultimate issue only, when there is no alternative, the nuclear weapon called the Brahmastra is applied. The word Dvijatmajaha is significant here because Ashwathama, although the son of Dronacharya, was not exactly a qualified Brahmana. The most intelligent man is called a Brahmana, and it is not a hereditary title. Ashwathama was also formally called the Brahma Bandhu or the friend of a Brahmana. Being a friend of a Brahmana does not mean that one is a Brahmana by qualification. A friend or son of a Brahmana, when fully qualified, can be called a Brahmana and not otherwise. Since Ashwathama's decision is immature, he is purposely called herein the son of a Brahmana. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So, what did Ashwathama do? Yada Yada Sharanam Atmanam. Yada, when Asharanam, without being alternatively protected. So then when he saw there is no other Sharanam, no other shelter, no other shelter for his protection, Atmanam, of his own self, Aikshata, when he saw that, Shranta Vaijinam, the horses being tired, Vaijinam, Vaiji means horses. The horses were all tired, Shranta, they were all tired because they were, looks like Arjuna chased Ashwathama for a very long distance, and with great speed, the horses were running, so they became very tired. Ashwathama's horses became very tired. So then he saw that there is no other option now. I will be caught now by Arjuna. Now, how do I protect myself? So, thinking like that, what did he do? Brahma Shiraha Mene. He applied, Mene means he applied or he released Brahma Shiraha, the topmost or ultimate weapon, Brahmastra. He released Brahmastra weapon. Prabhupada says it is nuclear weapon. Atmatranam, just to save himself. Dvija Atmajaha, the son of this Brahmana. So here also it is not told that he is a Brahmana. He is only told Dvija Atmaja. He was born from a Brahmana. Atmaja means he was the son of Dvija. Dvija means the twice born Brahmana, Dronacharya. So here also it is very clear that uh, just to save his life, no other consideration. Only to save himself from the fury of Arjuna, Ashwathama took such a extreme step of releasing the Brahmastra. So Brahmastra has to be released only under extreme situations. When all the other weapons fail, and only for the sake of upholding or protecting Dharma, a warrior has to apply Brahmastra, not otherwise. So it is very clear from this shloka also that Ashwathama is not at all a qualified Brahmana. He has not used his intelligence properly, just for his personal protection. That too, very well knowing that he has done a criminal activity of killing the sleeping sons of Draupadi. He should have himself presented himself in front of Arjuna, saying that I am guilty, please punish me, I have done this mistake. That would have actually taken Ashwathama's position to some other level, isn't it? Sometimes we all make mistakes. To err is human, isn't it? We all make mistakes. That's not a big thing. But accepting our mistake and being ready to uh, take the future consequence of our mistake, whether it is punishment or whatever it is, that is required. That is sincerity. Now, even after knowing that I have done a mistake and I'm trying to save myself and I'm doing all other nonsense things, then that is definitely not at all befitting a civilized human being, isn't it? Had Ashwathama surrendered to Arjuna, quite possible that Arjuna could have forgiven him. After all, Arjuna is also a devotee, isn't it? In fact, Arjuna was not ready to fight the battle of Kurukshetra itself, isn't it? In the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we see that. After understanding Krishna's higher scheme of things, Arjuna came forward and did his duty as a service to Krishna in his dharma samsthapana. Otherwise, a devotee is not is by default very compassionate, isn't it? Kripa Sindhu is a devotee, is an ocean of mercy. So Ashwathama could have actually done like that. He could have surrendered, he could have begged forgiveness, but he didn't do that. See, this is what happens when we are under the influence of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. We try to justify our mistakes. We try to say that what I did was right. Now let me protect myself. So, being proud, even though one is wrong, this is the symptom of a demoniac person. And this also shows immaturity on the part of Ashwathama, because using a weapon like Brahmastra is not a child's play. It can it can demolish, it can destroy an entire planet. It can cause huge damage to innumerable living entities. So, therefore, again, I repeat what I said previously. To handle technology, one needs maturity, one needs sense control. Without sense control, if technology lands up in the hands of a mindless person, he can create havoc for himself and for the world at large. So, this was immaturity on the part of Ashwathama to use Brahmastra. We see a very similar thing later on, we will see in the same first canto when the son of uh, a Brahmana, Shringi, he cursed Parikshit Maharaj that he will die in 7 days. There also we see the immature behavior of this boy. He was, after all, an innocent, immature boy. We can't call him innocent. He was immature boy, but he had many Brahminical powers on the strength of which he cursed Maharaj Parikshit. So technology is great, but before giving access to technology, one must learn, one must be trained to become mature, one must be trained to control one's senses and one's mind. That is a moral of the story. Text 20. अथोपस्पृश्य सलिलं सन्दधे तत्समाहितः अजानन्नपि संहारं प्राणकृच्र उपस्थिते. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: Since his life was in danger, he touched water in sanctity and concentrated upon the chanting of the hymns for throwing nuclear weapons, although he did not know how to withdraw such weapons. Purport. The subtle forms of material activities are finer than grosser methods of material manipulation. Such subtle forms of material activities are effected through purification of sound. The same method is adopted here by chanting hymns to act as nuclear weapons. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. So, what did Ashwathama do? Fearing for his life, he decided to release the Brahmastra, as we saw in the previous shloka. Now, here he actually invoked that Brahmastra by chanting certain mantras. But before that, what did he do? Atho upasprishya salilam. Atha means thus. Upasprishya means he touched. Salilam, water. He touched water for purification. That means he did some achaman. Before any, as we have discussed this also previously, this word upasprishya has come before also. Before performing any ritual worship, the Brāhmaṇa does achaman. Achaman means along with chanting the holy names of the Lord, Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, like that he chants, sips water for his purification. This is called touching water or upasprishya. So, upasprishya salilam, sandadhe tat samahitaha, sandadhe. He chanted the hymns, he chanted those mantras to invoke Brahmastra, samahitaha, by concentrating his mind, ajanan api samharam, ajanan, he did not know, without knowing the samharam, the withdrawal of those weapons. Prana krichre, life being put in danger, upasthite, being placed in such a position. So another shloka which shows that Ashwathama is immature or he has only half knowledge. Half knowledge is very dangerous. Ashwathama knew how to invoke Brahmastra, but he did not know how to take it back, how to withdraw Brahmastra. Actually, a warrior is said to be a rightful warrior or a person who is really a great qualified warrior if he knows not only how to invoke various celestial weapons, but he should also know how to withdraw them. This is very important. If you study the Ramayana, this comes many times in the Valmiki Ramayana, especially in the very beginning, Balakanda, when Vishwamitra Rishi gives the knowledge of various celestial weapons to Rama and Lakshmana, like Bala, Atibala, and many other weapons. That time, Vishwamitra Rishi specifically teaches Rama and Lakshmana how to invoke them whenever it is required and how to withdraw them. This is called Upasamhara. Upasamhara means to withdraw the weapons. Say for instance, a warrior releases a mighty weapon. And as soon as he releases, let's say, half the way the weapon has traveled towards the enemy, and at that time the enemy has changed his mind and he has surrendered, let's say. Now, this warrior, the releaser of the weapon, if he knows the Upasamhara mantras, at once he can take back the weapons and award forgiveness to the enemy who has sought his shelter. See, these are all very intricate things. That's why whenever we are dealing with technology, we should know how to use them and how to hold back or how to take back. It is very important. Otherwise, half knowledge is very dangerous. So, complete knowledge of the weapons means not only one should know the mantras to invoke those weapons, but one should also know the mantras to withdraw those weapons whenever it is required. But here it is very clearly said, Ajanan api samharam. He did not know how to take back the Brahmastra. So half knowledge is dangerous, isn't it? So Prabhupada writes in the purport that subtle forms of material activities are finer than the gross methods of material manipulation. Today, all the weapons that are known to mankind, they all are gross weapons. That means If you want to release a weapon against some country, you need to stockpile those nuclear weapons. You need to have a godown or a place, a secret place where you actually store those weapons physically. And then physically, you need to carry those weapons, airlift them, and drop them at a particular targeted place. That is a technology that we have today. But Ashwathama was not physically carrying Brahmastra or any of these celestial weapons. These were all subtle weapons, which could be invoked on the strength of mantras by chanting the mantras. That means the technology that was present 5,000 years ago was much more advanced than what we see today. The weapons were not, some godowns were not created, some secret places were not created, and the weapons were not stockpiled there. But the weapons were there somewhere in the celestial sphere under the control of different devatas who were the adi devatas of those weapons. And once those mantras were chanted, those weapons in their physical forms would appear and they would be then hit on the target. So that is the technology. So this shloka teaches Ashwathama's maturity because he had half knowledge. He did not know how to withdraw the weapons. Let's go to the last shloka for today, text 21. Tata pradushkrutam tejaha prachandam sarvato disham pranapadam abhiprekshya vishnum jishnuruvachaha. Translation by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Thereupon a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjuna thought his own life in danger. And so he began to address Lord Sri Krishna. That means Krishna was also there on the chariot. This was not explicitly mentioned before. It was only mentioned that Arjuna is the friend of Krishna. But here it is very clear that when Arjuna set out of the Pandava camp with a vow that he will bring the head of Ashwathama to pacify Draupadi, Krishna also accompanied Arjuna. That's a very beautiful thing. Why? We will see that in the coming shlokas. So here it is said, Atha upasprushya, sorry, that is over. Tataha pradushkrutam tejaha. Tataha, thereafter, pradushkrutam, disseminated, tejaha, glare, effulgence, prachandam, fierce. There was a prachandam tejaha. There was a fierce effulgence, intolerable effulgence. Sarvataha disham, in all directions. This is very similar to what happens when a nuclear explosion happens. It is in all directions there is a glaring effulgence. This is what Arjuna saw because of the Brahmastra released by Ashwathama. At that time, prana apadam abhiprekshya. Abhiprekshya means he observed. Who observed? Jishnu. Jishnu is another name of Arjuna. Jishnu means one who is always victorious over his enemy. Arjuna is also called Jaya. Jaya mean or Vijaya. He's also the one who is always victorious over his enemies. So he's called Jishnu, the unconquerable warrior. So Arjuna observed that his own life, prana apadam, his own life is in danger. Therefore, what did he do? Vishnum uvachaha. Unto Lord Vishnu, that is Krishna, who was with him on the same chariot, he spoke in this way. So when Arjuna saw the glaring effulgence spreading in all directions, he saw that his own life was in danger. Therefore, he addressed Lord Krishna. So what did Arjuna speak to Krishna? And what was the advice given by Krishna? And after receiving that advice, what did Arjuna do? These are all very interesting incidents and very instructive for all of us. We will see them in the coming sessions. Thank you for your time. We shall close the session now. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.